hate when I have no intro. I don't even know what to do when I have no intro music. Let's see. Do I have a stream now? Yes, I do have a stream now. Yay. All right, everybody. Welcome. Say hello to yourselves as you're arriving. As I can't see who's here yet. Very soon. Open some chatness. Maybe I should use the restream chat. Oh, look, there I am. All right, we got some folks. How's it going? Yay. All right. Pop out chat so I can see what's going on. Get that out of the way. And I don't suppose, you know what, maybe I should use the restream chat. Just back from walking the dog in the rain. Great time to soak up a stream. Nice. Do you guys watch, what's his name? Undecided. Do you guys watch Undecided with, I can't remember his name right now. But anyways, he has the worst puns. He is just a pun-aholic. All the time. Pun. So I'm not seeing any chat from Twitch. So I'm assuming that the Twitch thing is still not functional, and probably that means none of the Discord stuff is fixed either. I tried to go back through and reconnect all of the services to each other, but Undecided with Matt Farrell. Yes, I love it. Richard, do you like it? Of course you do. Okay, let's see what I was going to do. Oh, should I try and do... Are we shipping to Canada? What? Yes, Andrew. Yes. Actually, we're shipping everything to Canada too, if whoever... Both things, all things. Raining in Saskatchewan. It's actually raining here too in Hobbiton. Let's see. Should I try the restream? Should I try the restream chat? Let's see. Let's find the chat. Not the live studio. Events, storage, scheduler. Chat app. Oh man, open in a browser. Let's just do it that way. Let's see if this gives me access to both chats. Hi. Go, okay, yes, this will give me all three chats. Okay, good. I can see Niles. Okay, great. So, oh no, wait, I can see you. Oh no, it's working. It's working. Twitch, yeah, I see it. Oh, good. I can see both. All right. Okay. All right. So which one do I want to keep up there? I think I want to keep the YouTube one. I'll keep this one close by. Okay. How's it going, everybody? All right. Finally, it's fixed. Okay, good, Sir Good enough. Good. All right. Hey, this is a good time to make another plug for our wonderful right-hand man, Sir Good enough, who has been going back and putting timestamps on the streams, so you can see what we've been doing. I don't know how many he's done now, but if you're curious about the streams, about what we talked about or when or anything like that, and you want to know or you want to kind of fast through or whatever, you can look at the descriptions now of some of the recent streams and even some of the older ones I think he's been working on. And this should be a good one. That's my plan. My plan is to make this a good one. Like I ever planned to not make it a good one. Okay, let's see. We'll get that out of the way. All right, there we go. Now I can see the chat, so that's good. And it looks like a lot of, we got Discord, we got Twitch, we got everything. Keep your YouTube chat. We're more highbrow. I can't, it's too small. I have to make it bigger. My eyes are too small. Let's see if I can get through this. My eyes are too small. There it goes. Okay, good. Now I can read it. All right. Okay, sweet. Now, let me talk about what the plan is for today after I take one last bite of pizza. You can see my list here probably, right? I think you can see my list. Good. Yes, you can. When that's not in the way. Okay. So this list here is my list for like thinking about planning out a permanent holiday thing. I've had just this week I had a couple of people who asked for specific instructions or specific help, and they were like, "Hey, this is my setup. What do you think?" And I thought, wow, that's a great opportunity to go through their plan and say, all right, what do I think of their plan? And then we can also talk about the steps to putting together your own plan. And so this, my little, my note over here is my thoughts on what you need to do if you're going to plan out and put up these permanent holiday LEDs, because it's happening. And if you haven't done it yet, most of you guys probably have. If you haven't done it yet, you're probably planning on it. But I'm telling you, I think, and maybe I'm crazy, but I think 5 to 10 years maybe, and everybody is going to have these kinds of lights on their house. Everybody. Every new house is going to come with them installed, and people are going to be putting them up on their old house. The days of putting up Christmas lights, taking them down, putting them up, taking them down, it's over. It's over. It's not happening anymore. So, yes, it is. Yeah, that's right, Raspy. Everything on the forums and Facebook is about LEDs, right? And I love doing the LED stuff. I like a lot of other stuff too. But I know that this is the time. This is the season, and people are asking about it. So let's do it. Okay? Let's do it. Now, I'm going to find this is tricky. Did I download his document? I should have done this before. Let's see here. Let me go here. I do have a way to kind of hide, right? I can kind of go over here, and then I can see. Yeah, that's good. Because I can see that I can't see, and then I can. I put on my list to get another monitor from Banggood. But for now, let's do this. Oh yeah, it was in my to-do list. Now you can see all my emails. I'm not hiding them anymore. It's a beautiful fall day up here in Hobbiton. Oh man, come on. I had it right there ready to do. Contacts, no. Tasks. A little bit in for the stream. Good stream topic. Here we go. All right. So, I want to open up this. We're going to download this. And we're just going to put it on the desktop, make it easy to find. Yellow. Desktop. Okay. And he's got this picture too. We'll look at that too. I have 2 people that have sent me stuff that we can look at and decide, what, how to help them or what we think about the plan, and to talk about the plan. And so we'll do that. Okay, great. Excellent. Now, let's find, where did those things go? LED project right here. All right, there it is. Okay, excellent. Now, this is a thorough plan. I mean, look at this. Look, this is a thorough plan. This is a dude who, all the ducks are in a row, right? I don't have ducks or rows. I have squirrels and they're everywhere. Somebody sent me a meme a long time ago. So this is a great plan. And it covers, I think it covers most of the steps that I put in my little plan here. So the first step when if you're thinking about doing these kinds of permanent LEDs on your house, first step, determine where you want them and measure so you have a number of linear feet. Okay, so that's what he did right here down here in the corner. I don't know if my cabeza is in the way, but you can see this fella's house right here, and he's got 3 sections that he wants to do. He's got an 11-foot section, a 13.5-foot section, and an 18-foot section. Okay, so that's thing number 1 to do. Now there are some apps, and I don't know how well they work, but there are some apps that do measuring, right? And let's see, this one's just called Measure, and I think this will work. Yeah, move iPhone to start. Okay, so let's do this. Let's screen mirroring, because I got this guy set up again. So, oh, actually, it would be on the USB connection. Yeah, we'll do it this way. Screen mirroring. So you get this one's just called Measure. This app is just called Measure. It's not even anything else. No fancier than just Measure, right? So can you see that? We'll do it this way. Maybe I make it bigger. Yes. Is that useful? Move farther away. Okay. Actually, I can undo this. So if we wanted to measure, let's see, what do we want to measure? Let's see, let's go up there. Okay, so we want to measure from like there, move closer, find a nearby surface. Here, let's do this, move closer. Oh. Plus, what's that thing do? I don't know how to use this. Measure. Oh, okay, add a point there. Add a point right there. So plus. Okay, now we can say, okay, the trash can is 21 inches. See that? So now we can say, we could go this countertop there and there. Okay, now that's 5 feet. Okay, so you can use an app like this. People ask, oh, how do I do this without getting up on my roof? There you go, right there. Okay, and I don't know if this is really an app that you have to download. It's just called Measure. It's right there. It's just called Measure. So if you have iPhone, there you go. If you have Android, I'm sure there's an equivalent something that you can use. But measure your roof line. Okay, measure where you want the things, and you've got to come up with a number of linear feet. All right, step 1. Okay. Next, decide what kind of LEDs you want. So this is the same as this hasn't changed from my old Rip Us Android guys. Sorry, Marshmallow Man. I'm sure there is. Hover.it, not TOO. Gotcha. How do I ask a question? This is so frustrating. Sorry, Greens. Ask your question, and I may not get to it, but maybe these other guys will. Okay, I'm going to try real hard to stay focused. That's my goal today, is try real hard to stay focused. Focused. I don't even have a little thing to do the buttons for the stream thing, but one of these days. My stream setup is getting better, but it's not done yet. All right. There's an app from Google for Android. Oh, cool. Awesome. Thank you, Mark. That's fantastic. Finally. Greens. I can't wait. I hope your question is just amazing. I'm sure it's going to be, I can't wait. I'm so excited now. All right. So step 2 is going to be decide whether you want strips or strings. I think most people are doing strings, meaning pixels, the bullet-shaped ones. You space them out a little bit. Some people do strips, some people like strips. I've actually been surprised recently at the number of people that are doing WS2815s. If you don't know what that is, the cheapest, I think, universal best, it's kind of like the small block Chevy of LEDs, right? It's like as ubiquitous and universal as it comes, is the WS2812s. And they're simple, they're 5 volts, they're RGB, and they're great for the strips, right? The 2811s are what we use for the pixels. That's separate. I'm just talking about strips. 2815s they have three major differences. One is they are 12 volts. So instead of 5 volts, they're 12 volts. That's good. That means you can go longer distances without power injection, without them dimming, things like that. So 12 volts, that's great. Thing number 2, they have a backup data channel. That's nice, although personally I don't think it's necessary, but that's nice because if one pixel goes out, it doesn't take out everything downstream from that pixel. It just skips that pixel and the data signal gets to the next one and it keeps going. So 12 volts and it has backup data channel. That's what's great about the 2815s. The third thing, they are like 2 or 3 times as expensive as the 2812s. They cost a lot of money. So whether you need them or not, I mean, they're great. I don't want to discourage anybody, I guess, from getting them. If you want like the latest and greatest or whatever, then get them. But I've been surprised lately at how many people are using them. And one of the reasons that I realize that people are using them is because I get the questions about what do I do with this extra data wire? And the answer is you connect it to the same data channel as the primary data channel. So if you're using a Dig Uno and you're connecting to L1C, I think it is, or LED1. I don't remember how the labeling is on the new ones, but it's the terminal right next to the ground. If you connect to that one, you just connect both of your data lines to that one, right? Okay. Let's see. Ooh. I know that you can split up LED strips on different ports on the controller. Yes. But I don't believe you can run continuous effects on 2 controllers with 4 output ports each. 2 controllers, 4 output. So you're talking about like using 2 quads? Huh? All right. Discord, please. Let's see. Wait, where are we at? Finally, some pixel stuff, Miguel. How's it going, brother? All right. I can't catch up on all this stuff. So we'll get to the most important part. Oh, and with all things LED, pay attention to Quindor and our pixel heads. Our pixel heads are awesome, by the way. You are all awesome, pixel heads. You're wonderful. Okay, so decide whether you want strips or strings, and then next decide how you want to mount them. So I think it's come down to probably 3 choices. You're gonna do PermaTrack, which is great, which is our metal stuff that we've been making in China. There's other people that are offering similar things. So some kind of a metal channel that you buy that already has holes drilled in it, great. The other option, still decent option and still probably the cheapest for putting up pixels, is J-channel and drilling your own holes in it. Still works, and it's still cheap. And if you want different spacing, we get some people that say, oh, I want 3-inch spacing or 4-inch spacing or 10-inch spacing. If you want 10-inch spacing or something, you can either just skip a bunch of holes in the PermaTrack, which I don't think is going to look very good, or you get something like just the vinyl J channel. Lowe's sells it, maybe some other hardware stores or some other kinds of. I think it's for fencing. I don't know if it's for like outdoor fencing or for paneling inside your house. I'm not exactly sure, but it's this J channel stuff. I've got links for it, all old videos. You can still use that, and then you can decide how far apart you want your holes. You have to drill them. Painting that stuff is easy, but they also are offering more colors now, which is something else PermaTrack we're not doing yet. We just have 2 colors. It's also paintable. And then if you're doing strips, there's really only one choice. If you're doing strips, you're going to want aluminum channel. I have some of the IP65 LEDs, which are just like coated in silicone. I do have those, and I have them outside, and they've been outside for a couple years on my Play Castle, and they still are okay. The adhesive is long gone, but I actually decided to use hot glue. And so far this season, the hot glue has been holding up. So we'll see if it lasts. But I went back in there and just kind of pegged it up in a bunch of spots with hot glue. But as far as the silicone is lasting. The LEDs are not getting they're not getting wet or damaged or anything. So I guess that's an option. But most of the time, if you're doing strips, you're going to want aluminum channel. Okay? So there you go. It's for vinyl siding. That's right, Crasher. Thank you. Network output. Wait, filled is 0.13 out now? Ooh. What about using PVC pipe? Carlos says. You can do that. I think the problem with PVC, if you want something permanent, is it doesn't look as good. I know a lot of people who do shows use PVC and drill the holes all the way through and then stick the pixels all the way through the PVC. Is that what you're talking about, Carlos Mora? I think that's what you mean, and that's fine if it's a temporary thing. But if you're going to have it up on your house, you're going to leave it up year round. It doesn't look as good, I don't think. But unless there's another way to do it that I've missed. Okay. Did this mate just say hot glue? Heck yeah, man. Hot glue is the stuff. Auto, a new version of wLED and X-Lights, just set up the DDP protocol and upload outputs. Oh, yes, Tech Turtle. You've been working on that for a long time, or they have been working on that for a long time, right? Thin wall PVC or PEX tube for temporary displays. That's right, Nick. That's right. Yep. But yeah, if you're doing like props in your yard, or some people just go around the windows and they take that down and put it back up, right? Yeah, there's that kind of stuff for sure. Okay, so decide what kind of. So now these are the steps we've covered so far. We have like this fella here. We're going to go back to, and I don't remember his name. Is it Sean? Maybe Sean? Are you here? Is this you? So we're going to go back to this plan for a minute. So he's got his picture of his house, right? And he determined where he wants his lights. Okay, he talks in here about what he wants to use. Hardware purchased for installation. He did buy WS2815s, 60 pixels per meter. 60. Oh, yeah, 300 LEDs per strip. Really? He got 60 pixels per meter? Okay, yeah, because you can either do 30 per meter or you can do, that's right, I got this wrong in here. You can do 30 per meter or you can do 60 per meter. That's right. I had it wrong. I was thinking about the whole strip. Excellent. There you go. Okay, so he picked the kinds of strips he wants. Okay, and then he also bought the aluminum channel right here. Okay, got the aluminum channel. Now, what's next? Okay, figure out the total number of LEDs based on the density of what you want. For PermaTrack, it's 5 pixels per foot. J channel is variable based on how you want to drill your holes or where you want to put them. And then the aluminum channel stuff is based on the density, 30 meters or 60, or 30 per meter or 60 per meter. Okay. And the reason that that's important is because you need to decide on the power supply. All right. So you determine this total number so that you know how many you're going to need for how big your power supply is going to have to be. All right. Let's see. Decide on the voltage of the LEDs, which kind of goes up here with this one. I should probably put that up there. Figure the size of the power supply. Now, I've always said 0.02 LED, 0.02 amps per LED because it's easy. There is a really nice calculator in wLED for that also, right? I don't think this thing's going to let me. Well, we've looked at it before, but if you haven't seen it, DrZzs DEXE has crashed. Uh-oh. Credit goes to Scott Hansen. Scott's an amazing dude. Bought steel wall frames, which are very cheap, and made diffuser covers from plexiglass. Nice. Nice. Can you run multiple dig-quads in X-Lights with wLED? These guys can tell you for sure, Cisco, but I think yes, absolutely you can. Yes, absolutely you can. Okay? So if you go to your, let's look at one of my controllers. Let's see if we can find one here. I don't think it's going to let me pull them up because it doesn't let me VPN. Yeah, it's not going to let me VPN because it's what do you call this, Starlink. Starlink doesn't like to let me VPN out. Anyways, in the wLED user interface, there is a very nice calculator that gives you a good idea of what size power supply you're going to need. Just trust that. Like I've gone through many times and said, oh, you don't need it that big, or you don't just, it doesn't, they don't use as much power as, it says in the data sheets or in the, some of the articles about LEDs. Just go with what wLED says. There's ways you can adjust based on the voltage, based on whether you've got efficient LEDs, whatever. It will give you a decent guesstimate of what size power supply you need. Just go with that. Okay? Okay. So you figured out the size of the power supply. And next, determine where you want to put the power supply and the controller. The controller has to connect to the beginning of the LEDs, and the power supply can go anywhere. So in this case, this fella, he says power feeds from the garage here. Okay, so he's got, I don't know if he's got an outlet. I think a lot of houses, newer houses, have an outlet on the eave, right around the edges of the house, maybe multiple outlets for Christmas lights. So best case, tap into one of those. Although I do think that putting your power supply and your controller and such in your attic or in your garage maybe is also a really good option if you can, because the less exposure that these things have to the elements, hot or cold, the longer they're going to last, the better they're going to perform. So if you can put your controller and your power supply inside the house somehow, attic, garage, something like that, and then you'll have to maybe drill holes out to get to it, I suggest doing that. Okay. When I first put mine up, I put a waterproof box outside, and it's still fine. And it works great. And you can do that too. But if you have the ability to, it's really nice to be able to be in the attic. Like my brother-in-law, we did a video doing his lights was it this year in January? Might even have been this year in January, yeah. We did lights there in Vegas, right? And we put aluminum channel and strip LEDs in his. And we put his power supply and his controller, he had multiple controllers, we put them in the center of the house and then just ran all the wires like spokes on a wheel out to where we needed it. And that was really nice. So that's also a really, because then if you do have a problem with power supply or controller or something, it's as simple as, get to the ladder, go up in the attic, tinker around with it. You don't have to get up, you don't have to go outside, and if it's cold and such, which is usually when we're tinkering with these things, unfortunately. Okay, so this fella decided right here. Now, those 2 points again. The power supply can go anywhere. Okay, it can go in the middle, it can go at the beginning, it can go at the end, it can go anywhere. The controller, at least the connection from the controller, the wires from the controller need to go to the beginning of the LEDs. And as everybody should know by now, but if you don't, the LEDs do have a direction. There's a side that the data goes in and a side that the data goes out. And it's got to stay in that direction. If you splice them backwards and you've got an in and an in, not going to work. Okay? It's got to be an in and an out. Okay? Does that make sense? Where are we at so far? Troubles there at all? We'll get to the troubleshooting and we'll talk about some of the common problems that people have. Okay? Because data, almost always, the problem is the data signal. Almost always. I'm just determining that. It's almost always the data signal for one reason or another, whether you're jumping a gap or whether it's from the beginning or whether some pixels just messed up. It's almost always a data signal problem. Okay, a couple questions here. Jeff Straw says, can I add or stack power supplies in parallel for more available amperage? You can, but I don't know that, I don't think you would want to do that if you could help it. They sell like 60 amp power supplies. You can get a really big amperage capacity kind of power supply. So can you stack them? Yeah, you can. It's important if you do that. This is what Quindor will tell you and some of these other guys. For one, you can, I don't want to say this. Make sure that if you do that, that you have the same size power supplies, because they will split the load. And if you have like a 2 amp power supply and a 10 amp power supply, they will split the load equally. So if you've got, say 6 amps worth of draw from your lights, and you've got a 2 amp and a 10 amp power supply, it's going to be trying to take 3 amps from that 2 amp power supply, and it's going to get hot and probably fail, right? So better to just use one power supply, unless you're going to completely separate the runs. There's also something else. Sometimes people talk about phases or something. I don't know. I think with DC, I don't know that that's a problem, but I'm not sure. An LED option that has RGBW and dual data. Holy cow. D. Messer. So Pixel Heads, Quindor, what do you guys know about this? Is there an RGBW that has dual data? Wow. The 15s don't. It's the SK12s are the ones that have white, that are in strips. I don't think they have dual data. Give you insomnia? You guys talking about me? How's it going? Learn English? All right. Okay. So power supply. Figure out where you're going to put it. You're going to determine the size based on the number of LEDs. And you don't have to have your controller right next to your power supply. If you do, that's fine. That's great. If you don't, that's fine. And there you go. So SKs, yeah, the SK6812s do not have dual data, and they're 5 volts. There you go. Gosh, I don't know. I would expect that somebody's gonna come up with one before too long. Before too long, you'll get a strip of LEDs that's gonna be 12 volts and dual data and white channel as well. Maybe they don't exist yet. Okay, moving on here. Let's keep going. Okay, so pick where you want your power supply. Next, determine where the controller and power supply goes. Power can go anywhere. Okay, pick the controller you want. Uno versus quad, onboard versus external versus Ethernet. Okay, and then quad is best. Oh, so let's talk about, so the Uno versus the quad, and there's others of course, but the Uno and the quad is what most of us are using these days. The Uno is really a duo, so you can have 2 outputs on the Uno, but typically if you have just a simple project or one string of lights, an Uno is probably going to be fine. The big advantages of the quad, I really think the big advantage of the quad is the ability to have the power injections and have them all fused. Wow. Sounds like a helicopter outside. So having all of the power injection terminals on the quad and having multiple fuses for them is really helpful. Of course, the other thing about the quad is that you can do multiple outputs. For me, on my house now, I have a quad, and I've had a quad for, I don't know, how long have they been out? Year and a half? Somewhere in there? 2 years? Not 2 years. Uno is only a duo with the new board, right? Yes, Sean. Yes, I'm sorry. Yes, it's, well, no, you could. I think you can do it with, if you had a D1 Mini on there, but it might not work very well. And what really made it possible was wLED. wLED makes it possible on the software side to output to multiple pins. Then the processing power of the ESP32 is much better than it's going to be for the D1 Mini. So I think it's probably good to say, yeah, don't try and do the dual with an older Uno. It's much better with the ESP32 version, the newer versions. What wire gauge are most running? Does anyone have a link to 3-conductor wire? Wire gauge, 18 or 20. 18 or 20 is what I recommend. This fella used 18 4-ribbon wire because he's got a backup channel for data. So he's got 2 wires for data. So, and then, well, we'll come back to this a little bit, but the wire having the data next to the ground on the newer controllers can be a problem. So if you get the kind that's the ribbon and you can pull them apart, that may help you. If you get the kind that's bundled in a whole sheath, you may have more trouble, or at least you will eliminate one of your potential troubleshooting options if you can't separate out the data wire from the rest of the wires. Because sometimes running the data wire just next to the other wires creates some interference, and you lose some of the integrity of your signal. Okay, 18. Get stranded, not solid. Much easier to use. Yeah, nameless poet. You're right. Do that. I think if you did get solid, you could get smaller solid though, right? I'm sure out there somewhere on Google you can find the equivalence of, cross-sectional area, resistance or whatever for stranded versus solid. Although they may say, I think if it's solid, that they probably already put that in there, right? So when you buy if you buy an 18 gauge solid wire versus an 18 gauge stranded wire, the solid wire is going to be smaller, right? It'll probably be the same amount of copper, but because you've got the space, the air in between all the strands, it's going to be bigger. So never mind. Okay. Now back to this. Okay, so pick the controller, Uno versus quad. So those are the reasons to get the Uno versus the quad. If you think you've got multiple strands and you want to control them separately, and or you have, you're going to need several power injection points, then the quad is probably the thing to do. I think it's going to be it's going to get to the point here before too long where the quad is the one to have all the time, for most everybody's house. Now this fella, looking at this house, I would totally say that this house is Uno-able. Okay? It's definitely a house you could just use an Uno on because there really isn't that much, right? You're talking 40 feet, 50 feet, right? Total, 20 something. So yeah, less than 45 feet. So this can be one string. It's pretty simple. I would just do an Uno on this house. If you've got a house that's got multiple sections and roof and stuff, then maybe the quad is the better way to go. This guy might not even need power injection. Depending where he puts his power supply. Might not even need power injection. Probably wouldn't need power injection. We'll get to that too. Okay. So there you go. So pick which controller you want. Now, this step, do not skip this step. The next step is get all the stuff together. That means your controller, your wires, your power supply, your pixels, and lay them all out. That might mean going to your picture like this and saying, all right, 18 feet here. I want to do PermaTrack, so I'm going to do 5 pixels per foot. So I'm going to go 5 times 18, because I can't do that in my head. 5 times 18. 90. So I'm going to have, in this run across the top of the garage, I'm going to have 90 pixels. So that means I'm going to take my pixels, my string of LEDs, and I'm going to cut at 90. I'm going to say, these are 90, and I'm going to set them in a pile. You don't have to stretch them out, but set them in a pile and say, this is the part that goes over the garage. 13 and a half feet. We're going to say 13 point, oops. And this you can round up a little bit, right, when you're cutting these off. So this would be 68, okay? So you take 68 pixels and you cut a strip of 68 pixels, bang. And that's going to be this green section here. That's the 13 feet. And then the other one would be 55. I can do that in my head, 5 times 11. So you're going to lay all those out. If there are gaps, if, for example, between this 11-foot section and this 3.5-foot section, it looks like there's a little bit of a gap there. Let's say you're not going to run pixels there. Let's say you just want to run wires to jump that gap. Get that section of wire out. Cut that length of wire that you want. Give yourself a little bit of extra to work with, but cut that length of wire and splice those strings of pixels together. And you're doing all this on the ground. You're doing it in your living room or your office or your garage or someplace. On the ground, not on the house. Okay? So many times. And I've done it myself. I did it myself, and I did it myself, and I've been trying to warn people since then to test it on the ground, and I still, all the time, and it seems like it's always the folks that have the trouble are the ones that installed it first. And it may be that people who put it on the ground also have troubles testing it out on the ground. They have troubles, but they fix them. They troubleshoot it because it's very, very, very easy. It's exponentially easier to troubleshoot it on the ground. Once you put it up on the roof, now it's a big hassle. Now everything is a big hassle. So get it right. Cut your wires that you're going to splice to. Lay it all out. Connect the controller. Connect the power supply. Turn it all on. Connect it to your network. All that stuff on the ground. Because you're probably going to have some troubles. You will probably run into an issue at some point or somewhere along the string. And now is the time when it's on the ground. Now is the time to fix it, not when it's up in the air. Okay, so this is the last one, right? Get all this stuff. And then, so people ask about power injection. And we got some general rules of thumb about power injection. What was it? Maybe 200 lights or 250 maybe on 12 volt lights, or less if they're 5 volt lights. But here's the real trick of power injection. Power injection is all, it's more fun up in the area. Power injection is manageable in a variety of different ways. Okay. The problem that you will see if power injection is the solution, the problem that you will see is dimming of the lights. So you lay out all your lights here. Let's say you get your 18 feet over here. We're going to put our power supply in the middle. So you got 18 feet going this way, you got 13 feet going that way, and then another 11 feet over there. Put our power supply in the middle. You light it up, and what you notice is as you get down to the end of that 11 feet, starts to dim. Starts to dim a little bit. You try and put white, and as you get there towards the end, it kind of turns orange and maybe even a little red. Okay? That means you don't have enough, you're not getting enough power down there. Now, there's a couple ways you can handle that. One, you can just turn down the brightness. Some people want the max brightness and everything. Okay, great. If you want the max brightness, then you're going to have to go with a different solution. But one first solution to try, if dimming is your problem, is go into wLED and change the brightness. Just turn it down. That can fix it. The other thing you can do, let's see. If you do the, yeah, you can do that. In wLED, you can increase the allowable current, okay? You can increase the allowable current. If you've got 18 gauge wire and a 20 amp power supply, you increase that current to whatever your fuse is on your controller. If you're using an Uno or a quad, I think they're always 5 amp fuses. So if you're using a quad and you're doing multiple injection points, then the current is divided among all those injection points. But on the Uno, it's just whatever that fuse is. Maybe it's a 10 amp fuse on the quad or on the Uno. Either way, you can increase, in wLED, you can increase the injection, or the, excuse me, in wLED, you can increase the allowable current to whatever your fuse allows. So maybe just under it. So if your fuse, if you have a 10 amp fuse, you could make it 9.9 amps or 9,900 milliamps is how it's written in wLED. It's in milliamps. So something just under what your fuse is, and that will let it get as bright as it's allowed to get without probably causing you any danger, okay? That may fix your dimming issue, because if you've got it set really low to like 2 amps or 3 amps or something low, you want to boost it up to allow more current, you probably can get some increase in your brightness because of that. Now, if you can't get it to go any brighter, or you can't get that dimming fixed with those two problems, then you need power injection. And power injection, you can do it in 2 ways. You can run one set of wires, plus and a minus, from the power supply or from the controller. If you have a quad, you could do it on the Uno too, but you can run extra wires, just a pair of wires, out to wherever you want to go, the end of your string or close to it. And then you just splice in to the LEDs, to the strings. There's a positive and a minus on the strings. You just splice in, okay? And you could do it like multiple splices. So you have one pair of wires and you splice in, but then the pair of wires keeps going and you splice in again, and the pair of wires keeps going and you splice in again. That'll get you the voltage to wherever it is that you want it to be. But it's not that. That's one solution. Another solution, and maybe the better solution, especially if you have a big display or with a lot of lights and a lot of power, is to run a separate pair of wires for each injection. So you run 2 wires from your power supply or from your controller if you have the quad, all the way to where you want to inject, and you inject, and that's the end of that power injection. If you want another injection further down, you run a whole new pair of wires all the way down to where you want the power injected there. Okay. And again, we're doing this on the ground, right? You're doing this on your kitchen table or on your living room floor. I laugh because I can't imagine too many of our significant others allowing all this stuff to be laid out on the kitchen table for more than maybe a few hours. You lay it out before you install it, and then you can know if your power injection is sufficient. So people ask me, is this going to be enough? Like, am I going to need 3 power injections, or is this going to be that could be enough? My answer is test it out. Like, test it out. Just hook it up and test, because I can't always say, oh, if you have 150 LEDs, you're going to need power injection. I mean, you might, but you might not. If you have 500 LEDs, you're going to definitely need power injection. You're going to need 1, you're going to need 2. You know, there's a lot of variables in there. So the thing to do is to get it on the ground, connect it all up, turn it all on, make it all happen, and then decide if you're happy with it. Now, once you decide you're happy with it, you've got your power injection. Say we ran down to the end of this, where this 11 foot is, and we tied in another plus minus wire into the string there. Now it's nice and bright down there. The other end of our 18 feet is bright. We're happy. We're good, right? You can calculate how many power injections you need. Oh, go ahead. Do the math. Go ahead. How do you do it, Quindor? And the amount, yeah, I know. If you want to, and there's probably some people that can and do, but yes, Quindor can give you the reference points, or the reference material for determining when your voltage is going to drop to the point that you will have problems. If you want to do that way, great, do it. For me, I just look at it and decide if it's going to be too dim or whatever. But yes, you can determine based on how long it is, how much current it is, and there's some really good tools for that. So you can post them, Quindor, right? Put the links in Discord, live stream, or Twitch. There you go. That's a bit more involved. Generally, you calculate total number of amps for the strips using real world power sheets, and then divide by max 4 amps per injection point, basically. Okay. Oh, I see what you're saying. Oh, okay. Well, that's good. That's another way to do it too. You just divide up the current based on that. Good. There you go. So if you say you're going to have, so let's imagine a scenario now where you've got however many LEDs, and wLED tells you that your max current is going to be 16 amps. That those lights, those LEDs may, on max brightness, white color, they may draw 16 amps. What Quindor is saying is you can simply just say, well, if my LED strip, or if my wLED says I need 16 amps, then I'm just going to divide by 4, because 4 amps, because the fuses are 5 amp fuses. So if you say 4 amps, I'm going to divide my current into 4 sections. And so I'm going to run 4 power injection pair out there, right? And that's a good way to do it. I hadn't thought about doing it that way. So I like that. That works too. And that's kind of, my thought was all focused on what do the lights look like, where Quindor's actually saying, let's look at what's the current load, and let's make sure we divide it up so that it's not going to melt any wires or cause any trouble. Quindor is a genius, right? I generally use 50% of the value from there. There you go. Here is Seth's from the example final outcome video. Oh, awesome. Thank you, sir. Good enough. He's got an out. Oh, yes. Let's check it out. So this is Seth. What was I saying? Sean? Sorry, Sean. Seth. Okay. So let's watch the video. This is what it finally looked like once he got it done. Oh my gosh, dude, that looks awesome. Nice. Oh my gosh, dude, you got to be. That looks so good. I love the colors, the green and the purple and the orange. That looks amazing. And you can see he has got like a gap right over here where he jumped a little gap. Can't tell if there's a gap right there. And it looks, based on that, let's watch it again. Based on that, it looks like the controller is over here to the left, correct? Your controller's over here by the ghosts. That's so cool, Seth. Good work, dude. Good work. And once again, thank you for allowing me to use your house as an example here, okay? All right, so let's talk for a minute about troubleshooting, because my points here on this list are get all the stuff laid out, connect it all, test it all, then troubleshoot as needed. So what are some of the things we're going to troubleshoot? We talked about power injection, right? And that is if it fixes the dimming. Well, let's see. So if dimming is your problem, I'll say it this way. If dimming is the problem, then power injection is the solution. Is that fair to say? You guys? Now we need him to get into X lights. Good job, Seth. Absolutely good job, Seth. You pixel heads are like, you're like crack dealers with your X lights. Oh, hey, try some X lights. First one's free. I'll get there too. One of these days. I'm getting closer, inching closer all the time, inching. So troubleshooting, power injection is one of the biggest things. Now, what are some other issues that people have a lot? I think the one we need to spend the most time on is flickering. Flickering, right? Now, let me let me see. I'm going to pull up my personal chat here, and here's another video. I want to pop this out. So look at this person's flickering. Now, this is somebody I worked with. Look at that. It's like starting right there at that one point. And it's not doing it up there. Let's watch it again. So it's like from right there down. And it doesn't look like it's the top. Let's see if did she put any sound on this? I'm not hearing it. Let's see. See if she tells us what's happening. So to me, that almost looks like it's a bad pixel right there. What do you guys think? That looks to me like it's a bad pixel right there, because these seem to all be behaving, right? All these other pixels look like they're doing the right thing. But right here, it starts going wackadoo, right? So my thinking on that is flickering is almost always, I mean, I don't even know if I should say almost. Flickering is a data problem, right? So flickering is a data problem, always. So what could be too long SPI line? Looks like it needs an F amp or ground issue, bad pixel or bad connection. So if it was, now let's talk about these things. So Felix, Tech Turtle, you guys have good ideas. Now, when you can have a data problem for a few reasons. In that particular case, it looks to me like it's either a bad pixel or a bad splice. And it could be that, it's gotten colder, we've had some rain, so it could be it's not a short, but it could be that there's a little bit of water, a little moisture somehow got into one of the connections maybe with the rain. But if it starts at one exact point, so if you've got I'm going to put all these notes down. If you've got a strip like that, and all the pixels are working, and then just from one pixel to the next, now you've got a problem. I think it's going to be one of those pixels. It's either going to be the first pixel that's misbehaving, which is most likely the case, or it'll be the one right before that. That's my thought. Okay, so if the problem, let's see, if it starts, you know, if some pixels are normal, then all of a sudden, the very next pixel is flickering, and the rest down the line, that's probably, that to me, that seems like a bad pixel or a connection there at the flickering pixel, at the first flickering pixel probably. Okay. So now let's talk about what else it could be. Let's imagine a different problem maybe. How do I want to go back and do that. Yes. Haha. So what if the flickering is from the beginning, from the start of the string, or after jumping a gap? Okay. Oh, am I on to the next page? Okay. What if it's at the beginning? What if it's at the beginning? Yes, and if it's a bad pixel, you cut that out and wire in a new one. Yes, DMesser, that's exactly right. And hopefully, you know, when you buy pixels, you should end up with some leftovers. It's pretty rare that somebody, you know, you buy 500 pixels and you need exactly 500 pixels, but you got a lot of homies here. Somebody can throw some pixels in the mail for you if you need a spare pixel. Can't spare a pixel. Oh, extra fun when it's up on the house. That's right, extra fun when it's up on the house. Now, let's talk about what happens when it's from the beginning of the string. So let's say you hook up your brand spanking new DrZz or your DrZz quad, and you turn on your lights. You've got them all down there on your living room floor, and you turn them on, and they just are flickering like crazy. Most likely, well, you've got some corruption of the data. We know that. My first guess would be the distance between your first pixel and your controller is long. Now, Quindor's got some really good articles about this, and Quindor, if you could drop some links to those, that would be really helpful. Because Quindor's got some really good articles that explains what happens and why it happens, and then how to fix it. But the data signal tends to drop off. Now, the whole point of having a DrZz or DrZz quad is to have, part of the reason to have it is to have the logic level shifter. The signal that comes out of the controller comes out, the ESP32 comes out at 3 volts, a maximum of 3 volts. The LEDs are expecting a maximum of 5 volts. So you need to boost it, okay, to get it to look right. The DrZz, DrZz quad, other controllers, they have that thing built in. Quindor did great engineering to try and determine what's the best, how do you get the best signal to come out of there? And picked a resistor on the output, and for in most cases that's perfect. In situations where you have the 3 wires all bunched together, which actually probably a lot of us have in this kind of situation, because that, you know, those ribbon cables, or there's cables that have the sheath on the outside that have 3 wires inside. If the data cable is right next to the others, especially the ground, then and it's long, meaning longer than about 10 feet, you can start to see some flickering and some corruption. 2 ways to fix it, okay? One is, these guys are talking about an F-amp, or I don't think a sacrificial pixel is not going to help. It may help if you put it in the middle of the gap, but a sacrificial pixel right outside of the controller is not going to help you. The other thing is the new data booster, the Data Max booster that Quindor has. It's like $5 or a few bucks. And that has the ability to switch the resistor. So you can, instead of using the resistor that's on the board, it kind of gives you a different path to use a different resistor, and then your signal should be a lot cleaner. The other thing you can try, probably the first thing to try if you can, is just to separate the wire. So just run a separate wire from the controller to the first pixel. That's a completely separate wire, not bundled with the other wires, right? So if your pixels are flickering from the very beginning, then the things you need is you need a data boost, right? That's one possible option. So some people have the F-amp, which is about what Quindor's built. I'm not an electrical engineer enough to tell you if Quindor's booster is an F-amp or if an F-amp is something different. I know that some people have always just used a sacrificial pixel to the point that they have, like even Mike, RGB Mike, he's got, somebody needed a boost, and so he got him a pixel, a sacrificial pixel. It's just a pixel that has wires on both sides you can just splice in, and it didn't do the trick in that particular case, because the problem that he had was probably the interference based on the resistor and being next to the ground wire. So F-amp or the boost data, what's he calling it? The Maxi, right? The Quinn Maxi. We'll call it the Quinn Maxi. Or, I don't know if that's what you call it. I'm selling hundreds of them, but I don't know the name exactly. So an F-amp or the Quinn Maxi. There's another thing actually too, and this I have these on my website. There's a guy, I can't remember his name now, but I haven't, just because I haven't chatted with him in a while. But I think he made 100 of them. It's basically it takes the 3-wire data signal, does some magic to it in the little magic black box, sends it out over a twisted pair, sends it out over the like an Ethernet cable, and then you can go forever. And then on the other end, you have something that plugs into the Ethernet cable and then has 3-wire output on the outside. So you have a transmitter side and a receiver side. And on the receiver side, then you can connect it to your pixels. So that would fix it also. I've been calling that one the Data Max on my website anyways, which is funny because we have the Quinn Maxi and the Data Max, but this one is the Ethernet. And it's more expensive. It's a bit more expensive because it's a more pricey solution for sure. Yes, the Quinn LED Data Booster Maxi version. Yes. Let's see, what are the other possible solutions? So the data boost, we're going to say that the other possible solution is separate the wire. I can't tell if that's correct spelling. Separate the data wire from the bundle. Okay, try that. So that's usually probably going to be the simplest and cheapest fix, although getting the Data Maxi is pretty cheap. They're only a few bucks. They're not bad. So typically when you see this is the beginning of the string, or if you're jumping a gap. So back to Seth's example here, when we watched his video, we could see that he has a little bit of a gap here. Not a very big gap, but back up to 2 summers ago, when the first time we installed PermaTrack on anybody's house. We did a video about it with Jaron, who lives not too far from me and Mike, actually. And when we went to do his upper floor, the upper part of his house, we had a gap that we jumped. And as soon as we jumped that gap, the flickering was awful. And at the time, I didn't know what to do to try and fix it. Now what I would do is put one of those Data Max, the Maxis, the data booster, Quinn LED Data Booster Maxi. That's what I would put at the beginning. So you put the last pixel, then the Data Maxi, and then you can run a long ways before you get to the next row of pixels, and that should fix it. We could have also tried just separating out the data line. I'm not sure that would have done it in that particular case, but we could have tried that. We also, I think, could have tried to put a pixel like halfway through And so it would go halfway, get 1 pixel to boost a little, and then go the rest of the way through. That might have worked as well. But those are the common problems and the common solutions. I couldn't make it 5 feet without f-amp from pixel to pixel. Really? Wow. F-amps were my savior for bundled wire runs of more length. Yep. Another more advanced option would be to solder and change the resistor value on the board. That's true too. Yeah, that's true too. We can put that in here too. If you're change the let's see, we'll call it solder new resistor on the controller. That's pretty advanced, but it's another option, right? Okay, what else? So any other flickering issues? Always when there's flickering, and I would put this back up here to the bad pixel or the bad splice, make sure that you got good solid connections. There was one guy who's actually doing a really good job of, but what's an f-amp? Good question. What is an f-amp? Let's, I don't know what it stands for. Pixaboost. Oh, so there's a lot of them. Pixaboost. I just want the Wikipedia. Yeah, no. Somebody else, Quindor or somebody, why don't you guys just give the layman's version of what is an f-amp? How would you explain what an f-amp is? Falcon controllers call them f-amps. Oh, because of it's because it's Falcon amplifier. Other vendors call them data boosters. They're the same thing. Oh, okay, cool, Tech Turtle. I didn't realize that. So an f-amp is a specific like Falcon brand, huh? Does some of the stuff the quad data booster does too, but I made my boards a bit more flexible, the resistor choice and power injection and such. Yeah, the data Maxi is really pretty nice. So he's got a very easy way to connect power injection to it, and the ability to switch which resistor. It's got a little switch on it, so you can switch between whatever it is, 33 and a 246 or something resistor, right? So what else we got? Other reasons for flickering. That's pretty much it. I mean, it is almost always a data signal corruption problem, and these are the most common reasons that somebody would have a corrupted data signal. What else can we think of? 249. Thank you, Chris. Thank you. What else would cause flickering? Give me some more ideas, guys. Give me some more ideas. In the meantime, I'm going to go to the next point, or get us ready for the next point. Oh, hey, I got sound. Somebody subscribed or something awesome happened. I can't see it, but thank you. Where did it go? Oh, it's here. Yeah, there it is. Back. All right, great. So not flickering. So the other thing I've had problems with, or had people say they have problems with, we're gonna address. And some of these things, it's gonna probably start to seem remedial for some of you guys that are like the pros, but that's okay. This isn't for you, right? Oh yes, current set too low, or yeah, that's a good point. That is a good point. So would we put that under flickering? It might be flickering, but it also could be like Wi-Fi dropping. Not only boost the voltage, that's true. That's marketing. Then mine does too. wLED current set too low. Yep, we talked about that funky supply. That's true. It could be. Let's go back to flickering for a minute. That would probably be from the start, right? Let's say bad power supply. Yeah, that could be it. Bad power supply. So check the voltage, right? Check the voltage on your power supply. Or up the max allow current in wLED. That's another option. Wrong number of pixels. Now, does that really happen? That's a good question, Sir Goodenough. Let's poll the experts on this. If you don't have enough pixels, like say if you set it to 200 pixels, you tell wLED you have 200 pixels, but you really only have 198. I do that all the time, and I've not seen a problem. I just kind of, on my house for sure, I have not counted them all and said, oh, I got 147. I just am like, nah, 150 or something, and I don't see a problem. But do you guys see that? I want to know. Oh, yes. So we're gonna do, let's go to the next big category here. So we covered flickering. So let's just cover now, LEDs don't turn on. They're not coming on at all. Okay, what's that about? The unassigned pixels go black, right? So if you have 150 pixels and you tell wLED you have 145, the last ones will just be blank. Or if you had a color on them initially and then you change that, then they'll stay whatever, they don't get any new signal, or they'll just be empty. But I don't think it causes flickering. I have 296 and they ran fine when I had it set to 300. Yeah, okay, I think that's about right. Or if you assign too many, then the effects won't look right. Now that's true. That's true, Chris. Especially if you go way over. Like if you've got an effect, there's the ones that like kind of go down and back, down and back. If you go down and back and say you tell wLED that you have 150 pixels and you only have 100, it's going to go down and then there'll be a long pause because it thinks it's got 50 more pixels down there and 50 more back, and then it'll do it again. So there are some effects that will look wrong if you don't have the correct number of LEDs. So just take the time and count them, but typically overlapping segments will cause flashing. Oh, ooh, that's a good point. I did not know that. Overlapping segments will cause flickering, huh? I'm gonna put that under this. Overlapping segments. Does wLED let you do that anymore? I noticed that it does a pretty good job. Not at all. Fuse, bad wire, first pixel bad, connection, 12 volt supply. Didn't plug it in. Yeah. If they don't come on at all, this is what you got. So the first things that I think of, the first things that happen, most common problem right now, if somebody gets a pixel controller from me or from Quinn, or mostly from me, because sometimes they're being flashed by me, and they don't have they're set to the default, which is GPIO 2. So the most common problem right now, I think, that I've run into when people say, hey, everything looks fine, but I'm not getting any output, is the hardware output pin. Okay, for the DrZs Uno or quad with the ESP32, the output pin needs to be set to 16. Changed from the default, which is 2. Okay, that's the most common problem I've seen. And then the other thing, another problem is, I just had somebody was asking me questions last night, and he sent me some pictures, and I looked at it, and he had his data wire connected not to the terminal right next to the ground, but to the other one. So the DrZs Uno has 2 outputs. On the Uno and the quad, when you're connecting your outputs, your data outputs, start by the one next to the ground. So you have ground and then you have LED 1, 2, 3, 4 on the quad, or I guess it's, did you change it, Quindor, to LED 1 and 2 for the new version of the Uno, or does it still data and clock? Newest ESP32 builds are now default by, oh, awesome. Oh, that's fantastic. I didn't know that. Oh, good. Oh, good. I wonder if I've been doing that then. I know that that's been I've worried about that because I'm like, if I flash something and send it to somebody, then I'm thinking, oh crap, they're going to get it. And if they don't know that they got to go in right away and change that output pin to 16, then they're not going to do it. And then they're going to come after me. And those are the pins. So what Quindor just wrote there, the Dig quad output pins are GPIO 16. The next one is 3. The next one is 1. And the next one is 4. Okay. The Dig duos. That's right, Richard. Yes, LED 1 and 2 on the current Dig Uno. Okay, good. I'm glad you did that. Thank you for that. I was trying to help somebody last night, and I was like, oh, I don't know what it says, and I was trying to find pictures on it. I didn't have one here with me up at the Hobbit hole. I was pleasantly surprised it freed up an Uno. Oh, excellent, Chris. Oh, yeah, cool. So you have a whole nother Uno that you could use. Yeah, so the Dig Unos are really Dig duos. Okay, so that's one common problem. Another common problem that we have always had is the grounds. So make sure that the common ground, so the controller and the LEDs need to share a ground. Okay, so however you make that happen, your controller and your LEDs need to have a connected ground. If you've got, it's not so much of a problem now that if you're using the Dig Uno and the Dig Quad, because you're probably just taking the power into the controller and then back out of the controller. So the grounds are common. But in the previous days when we were doing simpler controllers that were just the Node MCU or something, it was tempting to just say, oh, I'm going to put power and I'm going to put the data wire and nothing else, or just the data wire from the if we're powering it by USB or something. So anyways, the temptation was there to just connect the data wire from the controller to the LEDs. And if you did not also connect a ground wire from the controller to the LEDs, it would not work. So that is still a common problem. Quindor knows when I'm going to get more Dig quads. Shouldn't be long. My guess would be 2 weeks, Quindor, maybe less. Maybe less on the new stock of quads. If you use a second power supply, then you'll need to tie in the grounds. Very good point. Very good point also, Cisco. That's right. Oh, you thought it was 1, 2, 3, 4. Yep, no. And that's this doggone, it's kind of like, we have the same problem in medicine, right? We have the same problem where you got a drug and it's got the brand name and it's got the chemical name, right? And so we've got, in electronics, we've got the GPIO number and then the actual board number. Hey, baby. How's it going?
Good.
Yeah?
We're just like packing and...
Getting ready to go? When are we going to go?
Mom said like at 3.
It's 3:30.
Oh.
Better go ask her again. Are you guys in a hurry to go? Do you want to go?
No, we aren't in a hurry.
Okay.
I don't know.
Okay. Well, I'm still going here. We're cruising. We're solving all the problems and all the LEDs anywhere. Somewhere beginning November is still the plan. Depends a little bit on shipping and such. It's a mess. Amen. It's a mess. Wow. And also more data boosters. Good. 2 weeks from the Money Pit movie. Yeah, that's right. Everything's 2 weeks. And if you're using a second power supply, don't connect the positives. So Marshmallow and Marshmallow and Cisco are giving very good advice. If you're going to use 2 power supplies, don't connect the positives. Do connect the negatives. Is that what you're saying? At least the ESP32 makes more sense with the GPIO numbering versus the 8266. Does it? Good. I hope it does. So what were some of the other problems up here? So Sir Goodenough listed a bunch real quick. Bad fuse is one, a bad wire, the first pixel's bad, connections, 12-volt supply. So there's a whole variety of things that you could check with your power supply. You know, I've seen a lot of these newer ones, they have a 220 volt and a 110 volt switch. You know, make sure it's set to the right thing. In fact, several of the power supplies that I've bought, when they come out of the box, they're set to 220. So if you're in the US, you need to switch that before you plug them in and turn them on, or it's not going to give you what you think it's going to give you, right? They also, a lot of them will have a dial. They'll have a dial that you can adjust the voltage. So sometimes, you know, you don't know if that has been messed with in the factory, or maybe that switch is broken. I've certainly had, I've bought a lot of power supplies, and I've had one where it seemed to me that that potentiometer, that little dial, just was no good. And it was a 12 volt power supply that no matter what I did was putting out 18 volts, always, no matter what. So I made it an 18 volt power supply. Didn't have much use for it, but so check that. Check the little adjuster, get a voltmeter out and check and make sure that that's working. Oh, this is another one. This is an important one. This one probably even goes above the power supply. The direction. Data direction. Okay. The LEDs, you've got to have the input side and the output side. And if you mess up the input side and the output side, nothing will happen. If you do it at the beginning, if you go straight from your controller to the output side instead of to the input side of the LEDs, nothing will come on after that. If you're moving on down the line and you're doing some splicing and you just get a little mixed up in your head and you splice backwards, where you, like I said before, you've got an output and then you've got another output, nothing will happen after that. This one will work. This one will not. Okay? Data direction. So check all your splices. Now, let's look at a picture of this, because if I recall, you guys can tell me if I'm right or wrong here. Help me out. Because some pixels don't label them very much. Always check this power supply is a good idea. Good. NWO, check the direction. That's right. Meanwhile, power supply just came set to, yeah, so did mine, Chris. 2 of them. Make sure you're hooking up the correct end of the pixel string. That's it, NWO. You got it, buddy. That's the one. If the pixels that you have, and honestly, the pixels that come with the, we've got packs now that come with the, you can get the PermaTrack, and you can get a pack of pixels, which has got, it's really nice. One piece of track has 30 holes, so we made 30 pixel strings with a connector on each end. So it's really nice. Who has her pixels are going bad at that one spot, she can just take that one section of track, disconnect it from both ends, pull the whole track down with the pixels in it. She doesn't have to pull them all out up on a ladder or anything. So that's good. But those pixels, it's not always easy to see where's the in and where's the out. Some of the things that you will see, you might see an arrow, you might see letters, DI for data in and DO for data out, okay? If you don't see either of those things, there's no letters and there's no, oh no. Chip is opposite the data in. That's right, Chris, thank you. Starlink almost glitch? I don't know, how are we doing? Random solid color, same as pixels do, random color chase. Would it be a segment problem if when I run a solid color, some of my pixels do a random color chase? Whoa. Yeah, that would sound to me like a segment problem, DC. Like, do you have segments saved in for different presets or something? Is it like part of it thinks, part of it's not getting a new signal? Maybe you're changing the effect, but you don't have all of the segments selected. Voltage drop at the LEDs, always good, always good. So let's look at a pixel. Chris gave us the right answer. That's what I was thinking, but I wanted to look it up before I said it out loud, Chris, so thank you. Okay, oh, this is gonna end up being, this is, when you say pixels, it's gonna end up showing you. Okay, here you go. This is the data output side. So you see the side with the chip on it? That is the output side. If you want to try and remember something, say this, it looks like an O, so it's output. Okay? Might be easy. So check and make sure that all of your pixels are going, that the data in and the data out is correct all the way down the line. It will not hurt your pixels to connect the data output side to the input signal. It doesn't hurt the pixels, but nothing will happen. It just won't work. It will hurt your pixels if you mix up positive and negative. If you mix up positive and negative, you're probably going to be buying some new pixels. I have my segments set as my different channels for my Dig Quad. But then do you have them all selected when you change the effect? Both sides will have a chip, but the pixel chip has more pins. Oh, regulated pixels, both sides will have a chip, but the pixel chip has more pins. Oh gosh. Let's see what a regulated pixel looks like. I don't even know what that means. Oh, yeah, okay. So this is a regulated, this one has a DI. That's still the output. What else we got? These are different ones. PCB with the black chip. Oh, this one's an in and an out. This is different. This is Adafruit. This one's got a lot of pins on it. This looks like the input side is the chip side. I've not seen a pixel like that myself, but I have not seen all the pixels. There are pixels in the world I have not experienced. Regulated versus resistor, okay. Check the first link they show. Regulated versus resistor, okay, I got it. Oh, I see, so this is a regulated one. So it does have a chip, but it's a smaller chip. You guys, can you see that? Good. So this is the resistor. So these are resistor pixels. This is a regulated pixel, right? WS2011 has 8 pins, so you should see the 8 pins. That's the output side, right? That's the output side. Should I give Dawson some more time? What do you think? I gave him some more time. He's such a good boy. I miss him. He didn't get to come up here with us. I didn't know you could do different effects on different segments with wLED. Still learning. Yes, there you go, DC. That's right. We're all still learning, my brother. We're all still learning. But yes, that's actually the reason, the main reason for setting up segments. If you always just want all of your pixels to do the same thing, to just run the same effect, you don't have to separate them up into segments. And you don't have to use them off of separate data pins either. Using the separate data pins well, there's probably a couple advantages. One of them is you might get, it might be easier for the processor to process if it's got different parts that it's sending out different signals rather than one signal sending all the information out one pin. And not that it's probably going to matter at all to most of our sizes of displays, but that's probably one potential thing. And then, but anyways, the reason to have segments is to do different effects on each segment, for sure. Can you take a peek in the LED chat? I just took a picture of mine. Oh, cool. Let's see. I haven't been to Discord in a while. Notifications in the LED chat. There's always, this is like the best chat. Okay, there we go. So is this a regulated pixel? Yes, it is a regulated pixel. Yes, it is. Right? And you can tell, oh, look at that. Well, there's no resistors on this side, but it's got an arrow, so that's good. So that's telling you the data is going out on this side. So this one's different. This is different. The chip is on the in with an arrow on the out. Oh, take a picture of the other side of it for us, Marshmallow. Por favor. Show us the other side. So you're going to see different kinds of pixels. This is great because those, I didn't realize that there were so many different ones. I think I'd seen pretty standard ones from sort of the main vendors, and that's it. Well, I wouldn't even say the main vendors. I've probably only seen it from a couple of vendors. Okay. What other problems? Let's think about this. What other problems? Because the Carols are like packing up all their stuff. I think we're going to be leaving here soon. We'll probably leave in, I guess we'll sign off in about 10 minutes. Let's answer some questions. I think this is pretty good. I think we've got a pretty good list. I mean, this should help pretty much everybody, right? This should help pretty much everybody to get started, okay? What other questions? There was a couple others. There was somebody else who also sent me his information. At least it's labeled, right? It's. I hope they label them. X-Lights set up the segments for me. Oh, X-Lights did it. Oh, okay. I got you. There you go. Give him more time. Oh, give Dawson more time. Thank you, Tony. He appreciates that. Oh, that's a video. Oh, there's the other side of it. There's the other side. Yeah, there's the other side. So, but in this particular case, however, the chip is not the output, but it has an arrow. So watch for arrows. Watch for DI, watch for O, DI, DO, and watch for arrows. Okay. Thank you, Marshmallow, for sharing that, amigo. Appreciate it. All right. Putting the list in the description, correct? Absolutely. Let's do that right now. So any questions that we should address? Now, Seth, when he shared this with me and he laid it out like this, and he made some changes after this, right? He made some changes after this. One of the changes was how he had it fused. And he had fuses here, but he probably didn't need to because he had fuses coming out of here, right? If this has a fuse on it. And then another point that he brought up is if you're using an Uno and you're doing power injections, it's probably a good idea to put a fuse on the power injection lines as well. And with a quad, the quad power injection pins are set, so that's fine. Pin out for the Dig Quad. Quindor shared it, and it is, let's see if I can remember, it's 16, 1, 3, and 4. So LED 1 is on GPIO 16. LED 2 is actually GPIO 1. LED 3 is GPIO 3. Whoa. And LED 4 is GPIO 4. Oh, hey, how about that? And then there's other pins for other things. There's a really good, Quindor, would you post also the manual? You have like a Dig, Dig Uno or Dig Quad just got your board manual. Would you post that link real quick? Oh, I was wrong. 16314. Oh, so close. Okay, 16314. All right, let's put this into, let's see if we can find it. There was somebody had, let me look at this one real quick because this is somebody else who had asked me for help, and I said I would help him, and I said I would put this on, I would talk about it on here, and he's got his picture. Okay, so let's look at some of this. All right. Okay. Can I install lights by myself in the area attached to the image below? Red arrow will be the starting point, but how can I start with electricity? I have to create a hole to get electricity wire into the garage. Black arrow showing down to upflow. So what is a better way to go up? Simple wire work, or do I have to go with the track? Yellow arrow, this area seems doable, but any comment or suggestions on this? How much time will it take to get an order? Okay, good. For the needed items, track, pixels, power supply, etc. Okay, so let's see. So he wants to put his power supply there where the black arrow is, right? So Amit, I would say, yeah, you would have to kind of come through your garage probably to get power out here. If you don't have power on your eaves already, you may, what do you got over here, a light? You may be able to tie into a circuit there. Check around your eaves and see if you can find any power outlets. It's too bad there isn't one there. But yes, I mean, generally, if you don't have power outlet on your eaves anywhere, then you will have to run from the outside. Now here, what do you got over here? You got power over here? Because you could run power from up the side of the house, up the gutter there if you needed to. Because you can, I mean, you can put the power supply anywhere and just kind of run the wires up to where you need them. But generally, yeah, if you're going to put the power supply in the garage, you will have to poke through. If I was you, I would hate to drill through the brick and have to poke a wire out. I would really look for a way to get outside. A lot of the times, this stuff underneath here, so I guess you guys can't see all this. Your face is in the way. No pager. Sorry, guys. All right. Well, I didn't want to show his email address and stuff. Okay, so he's asking about where to put things, right? So he's saying he's got a red arrow will be the starting point. Oh, I'm sorry. Red arrow is the starting point. I have to create a hole to get the electricity into the garage. I mean, yeah, you probably do. You may be able to go through the eave part here, the underneath part. You may be able to tap into this light, but probably not. Check and see if you've got any outlets down here along the ground that you might be able to use instead. But if you can't get power any other way, I mean, it's certainly, that's what we had to do with Jaron, the guy that I helped install the PermaTrack a couple years ago. We drilled a hole through the wall from the inside of the garage to the outside. And it was in a situation just like this, actually. We did it, and then we powered from here. So that's certainly a possibility. From here, to go from there to there, I would say you don't need track. You can just do wire, and that's a really short jump. So if you've got track that goes to here and it stops, and then you want to start track again up here, you can just run bare wire up there, and it'll only be a few feet, and you shouldn't see any degradation in your signal or anything. That should be fine. So you definitely don't need track there. And then, yeah, this looks good. I would just say run it along there. It looks to me like these little corners are going to be kind of tricky for you, like this little thing right here. So you might want to think about how you want to do that, and do you want to just go square, like take the track out to this point and then up and go? Or do you just want to go from here, skip this little section, skip that little section, and just go from here and start your track up here on the next one? You know, so I'm saying go along here, skip this, and start your track from where it goes vertical right here. Start right there. Don't put it on the vertical part. Don't put it on this horizontal part. Start it right there. And then the same thing here. You might just skip right here. Stop the track here. Run just wire till you get to this flat spot over here, and then run track down here. Or, I don't know. You can run track over that whole way. It's just every time you have to cut it, every time you have to bend it, it's just going to take you more time to install it. But overall, man, I think you got a pretty sweet looking, you should be able to have a nice little setup here. And then what you'll want to do probably when you go to do the second floor, I would bet, is continue from this point up to the second floor over here on this side, rather than try and go across you don't want to go across the bare roof unless you can get up into the attic here and poke out from the attic somewhere, which is also a very good idea if you can do that. Otherwise, go from the outside here up the side of the house and in there. Too much room for props. 12 volt, decent lux. You must drill through the brick. Drill slightly upward towards the inside so the rain will drip out. Ooh, great, great. Some call it fun. Good advice. Good advice. So Amit, I hope that, oops, I'm so sorry. I just reeled your phone number. So I was really trying not to. I really was. Sorry. Anyways, I hope that's helpful. And as far as how long it will take, track right now is it's on the ocean. It's on the ocean, and it is not going to California. I think it's either going to Mexico and coming across on a truck. I think that's what it's doing. I think we're going to a different port somewhere down in Mexico. We're not going to the port in California because they're so horrible. So we're going to a port in Mexico and then truck it up to us. So it's supposed to get here in 4 weeks, and that's already been at least a week since it was sent. We're also going to try and do some air. We're going to pay extra, so we're cutting into the profit quite a bit to try and get track here by plane. We're gonna have them ship like a pallet of track by plane and try and get it out, because I know a lot of people want it. We wanted to have like 3,000 boxes of PermaTrack. We had like 1,500, and we sold them all. We sold them all, and we're not even. I mean, it's just barely to the busy time right now. We should be really busy for the next 6 weeks, and right now we don't have any track. So, and pixels are coming in by air, and we should have pixels. In fact, I think we have them now. I'm not sure if Mike has updated the website, but we should have pixel packs now, and those are coming by air, and so they only take about a week to come. And we have 750,000 pixels on a tanker somewhere off the coast of California, and they've been there for over a month. So, yeah. Okay. Yeah, glad you ordered when you did, Chris. It was smart of you. Very smart. So I think that's it, guys. Anything else we need to cover? Oh, we were gonna go to the YouTube and paste this into the description, right? Anybody want to come work on my Hobbit house? Actually did have, who was it that was going to come help me? Joe Levi might come help me. And who was it? Was it Chris? It was Chris. Chris, are you there? Chris was going to come pick up some stuff too. I'm very close to needing your help, Chris. I think I might be ready for your help, actually. Okay, let's see. Details. Okay. So let's put all of this into the description. I'm just going to change what's in the description to this. Everything here is in the description, okay? Oh, no, that's not all of it. Okay, there we go. Control-C, and putting all this in the description. Okay, there it is. Excellent. Nope, it stopped at power supply. Is that the last thing? Oh yeah, was it? Okay, great. Saving. Good. All right, so all these notes that we took as we did this are now in the video description. And beautiful. Okay. What else? Any other burning questions? Anything else that we need to cover before? What do I need to get done at the Hobbit house? Man. I need to do some electrical. I need to run some, I had to kind of do a funky way of putting electrical wires behind some wainscot, so I got to get those wired up. I've got the exterior outlets I got to wire up. I've got exterior lights I've got to wire up. I've got a door that needs a door stop trim put up because that's not done. I've got a pump, I've got a well pump that needs connecting. It's a flow pump. I still got more solar panels to mount. I got a roof that needs extending. I want to build a solar water heater. There's a few things. If you pay for the flight and transportation, I will come to work for you without thinking twice. Thank you, Yona. Where are you, in Canada? It's amazing how more sequencing goes into multiple props, right? I need more props because I want my sequence to be better. So 4 questions in the Ask channel. Okay, let's answer those questions and then we'll go. Okay, let's go to the Ask section. I'm so glad this worked this time. I honestly don't know what I did to fix it, but I'm just glad that it worked. The Ask live stream questions. Okay, here we go. Let's ask them. Silhouette. I have 23 meters of individual 60 LED per meter RGBW strips. X lights can be used to control light shows. How can I best control normal lighting? Like only LED number 2 is in a color blue. wLED. wLED silhouette, and then you make your the parts that you want to control differently. You set them up as segments, and then you can create a bunch of presets to say, I want this segment blue, and I want that segment off, and I want that segment to flash. You know, you can control all that different stuff. I mean, that is a lot. 23 meters of 60 LEDs per meter. That is a lot of pixels, though. So you're probably going to want 2. You know, we used to have a hard stop of like 1,500 LEDs per controller. I think we're stretching that out now with multiple outputs. You could probably go farther. You may be able to do that with an ESP32, like a DrZs and two outputs. Honestly, with that many, I would say go with a quad, because you're definitely going to want power injection, because with that many, it's going to dim, absolutely going to dim with that density of LEDs. So you're going to want a lot of power injection. But yeah, you know, with wLED, you can certainly say, I want that section to be blue, and I want that section to be green, and I want that section off, and I want that section blinking. It's pretty, it takes a little setup, but once you get it done, you're done. Okay. I turned on Restream and it feeds off that. Oh, okay, cool. Excellent. All right, so that one's answered. Let's see what's next. Possible to skip every odd LED. So 60 LEDs per meter behaves like 30 strips in wLED or X lights. I can't say for sure about X lights. So these guys can tell you, is there an easy way? I could tell you, I don't think there is an easy way to just skip every other LED. There's not an easy way. You may be able to do it, but only with some effects, and you would basically have to set one of your preset colors as just black. But even that's not going to really do it consistently. That would be very hard to do. If you put 60 LEDs per meter and you only want to do 30, that would be harder to do. I don't know a good way to do that. So. Andrew Holmes, thank you, sir. Good enough for reposting this. Anybody know if it's possible to get strings of pixels with spacing between pixels greater than 4 inches? That seems to be the standard. Andrew, I can say that you can order custom. Okay. I would discourage it because it takes a long time. You may wait months. But I know if you really want to, you can talk to RGB man Mike. There's probably other guys that can do it too. And they will put in a custom order to the factory to say, I want a strip of 600 LEDs and I want them spaced out 10 inches apart. I know those requests come in. I know those requests go out. And I know people get really frustrated waiting for them to come back in. Poor Mike. I hear about it all the time. And he doesn't want to take those kinds of orders anymore, and I can't blame him because it really does take a long time. How many LEDs are you talking about? Because in the time that it's going to take you to order a special order string like that, maybe with 10 inch or 8 inch or something spacing, it may suck, but you would probably be better off if you just sit down and splice in wires to your own regular pixel string. It will be done a lot faster than getting an order into China, having them make it, and having them ship it here. It will be a lot faster if you just sit down with some wire snippers and some wire and put it together yourself. Okay? If you set grouping to 2, it will behave like 30 LEDs. Oh, cool. There, Marco's got an answer for you. Yeah, waiting months for pixels sounds like a normal day right now. Yeah, no kidding. Where in China do you order pixels from? I would email Ray Wu, see what you can do. Yeah. Okay. Gary, ask Dig Uno running 100 WS1 pixels, and I have 1 or sometimes 2 LEDs light red in the middle of the string. Turning it off and on again, well, it fixes it, but why? It's probably a bad pixel. It's probably just like a barely a little bit of a short or some pathway of less resistance that's lighting up your red LED when it shouldn't. And turning off the power to it gives it a chance to reset. Maybe it's building up a little charge. I would say the definitive fix is to cut out that pixel that turns red and put in a new one, or just deal with it, or just tolerate it. Okay. All right, let's see. Can we get a Hobbit vlog series? I wish, Panda Boy. Yes, we can now. We can. And what you see on my desktop here, I'm going to close this now, and I'm going to close this now. I'm going to close this now. Seth, and especially Seth, thanks again for being a good sport and for letting us use your examples. But what you see on my desktop here, I've got tons of folders, and those folders are full of pictures. I've been going through, and it's a tedious process, but I've been going through all of my video clips and pictures from when we were building this place and putting it all in categories. So I've got a whole folder on waterproofing, a whole folder on the pavilion, a whole folder on the deck, a whole folder on excavation, a whole folder on the barrel sink, on the doors, on the plumbing. Like I've got it all. and I'm still, I bet you I'm a quarter of the way through all my videos and stuff. But I think maybe when we come up here and we're working on something, maybe we can do a little vlog, every weekend when we come up here and do something. It wouldn't be bad, because we're just, the hard part about doing a blog so far for us has been consistency in recording. So if we just have somebody that's recording and then we can go back and do it, then that works. And what I've seen, because I've met people that do these vlogs like for a living, right? They take and they basically have their camera in their hand constantly. It is always running. It's always on. And then they have to be disciplined enough to go back later and edit it. But yeah, I mean, we certainly have some fun things we can share. So I think that's it. Girls, you ready for sign off?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, let's get ready for sign off. I figured I'd catch you here. Let's see, Romeo. I ordered the external antenna, but received the onboard one. Yes. Yes, we had that problem, Romeo. Would you email me, please, too? I don't know how many people that happened to, but thank you for bringing it up. So we got the Unos in a box. Oh, Quindor, remember I was telling you I was missing some antennas? I found at least part of the problem. And so I think they were in a box, and I think they put some onboard antennas and some external antennas of the actual Unos in the same box, and we didn't catch it. So when I dumped them into a bin, I dumped them all into the external antenna bin. So we were pulling out onboard antenna Unos, putting them in a box, and then putting an external antenna with them. So I've got a lot of sorting out to do. So far, Romeo, if I haven't already talked to you, then you're the fourth at least that I know of that we did that to. So anyways, okay, you ready to sign off, girls?
Yes. Yeah.
We got a new guest too. Let's go. Let's make it so you guys can see each other, because I know you like to see yourselves. So there you are. Okay, now we're like infinity. Okay, let's see if we can make it big. All right, you ready? How do we want to sign off?
Like a robot. No.
Like
a robot.
Yeah, like robots. Okay, ready? As always, thanks for watching. Until next time, adios. Like that? That was fun.
Yeah, that was
good job. Okay. Thanks for being here, everybody. I hope that was helpful to you. I think that'll hopefully help a lot of people. Official PermaTrack installers. We have a few in Utah. Do you want to be one? If you want to be one, Bling, you let me know, because we're always looking for more. So that's it, everybody. Have a good one.